What up, Whiskey Ginger fans? Welcome back to the show. If it's your first time joining the show, welcome to the show. We got a good one once again for you today. Leave a comment down below for the algorithm. Spread the word. Share the episode with Theater, Atlanta, Durham, by the way. The Bulls. Come out, Durham. Atlanta, Charleston, Philly. I'm playing the Met in Philly. I'm so excited for that. New York, baby. I'm playing the Beacon. So excited, man. That is life-changing for me. I'm so late show. Come out and see me, Bay Area. Then San Diego, there's also 2 shows. I love my San Diego, baby. Seaway. Boston, we're doing 4. Crazy at the Wilbur Theater. One of my favorite cities of all time to perform at Boston. Then finally, we wrap it up in Minneapolis, Minnesota. 4 shows, I believe, we're doing in Minnesota out there at the Pantages. So come out and see your boy. Go to andrewsantino.com for those tickets. andrewsantino.com.
In here, we pour whiskey, 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 whiskey.
You were that creature in the ginger beard.
Sturdy and ginger.
Like vampires, the ginger gene is a curse.
Gingers are beautiful.
You owe me $5 for the whiskey and $75 for the horse.
Gingers? Oh, hell no.
This whiskey is excellent.
Ginger. I like gingers.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Whiskey Ginger. My guest today is one of my favorite people on earth. I say that for all my guests, but I mean it once again today. It's Paul Scheer.
Yes.
Cheers, young lad. Cheers.
Excited to see. I feel like I haven't seen you. I like that. I haven't seen you in a long time. You and I shared probably one of the weirdest trailer situations of all time because we were on this movie, Disaster Artist.
Yeah, well, you were in it. I got cut right out of it.
You're in it. I mean,
I was sliced out of
that
it.
movie has so many people in it, and indicative of how we were treated. It was the only movie I've been on where people who had lines, had things to do, were in the trailers that were probably no wider than like these chairs that we're sitting in.
Yeah, it was pretty wild.
It is really tight, and we were all there. It was like a party bus of trailers. And you didn't know what was going to be in because you were Greg. No, you're not Greg. You were the other guy. The
guy that gets Greg's best friend who gets the strawberries sexually eaten off him or whatever. whatever that ended up being. By the way, shout out to Greg Sestero.
Yeah.
Who was around, and I think I met at a stand-up show one time, and my instinct was that he's not gonna like me or us or that.
No.
No, it's the opposite. My instinct was like, oh, he's gonna be bummed. Like, if anybody has ever seen The Room, you know what we're talking about. If you don't, this is so
get
out
on
of
it.
Yeah,
This is it.
I did not hit her. It's not true. It's bullshit. I did not hit her. I did not. Oh, hi, Mark.
I mean, The Room is, you can't get better.
It's incredible. And then a movie was made called The Disaster Artist because of it, which you're in it. Your wife is in it.
Yeah. A bunch of Seth Rogen, James Franco, Dave Franco, Alison Brie. It's a who's who.
It's a collection of
Nathan
the who's
Fielder.
the who's.
Yeah.
Nathan Fielder. Yeah. It was incredible. It was a wild experience. And also kind of felt, I'm sure, like how The Room felt, where it was really kind of disorganized and strange and very PC, and kind of no one really knew what we were all kind of just like figuring it out live, because it was really kind of, I don't know, improvisational more than disorganized. It was kind of like, this is what we want it to feel like, and let's see what it looks like now.
I think that, like, you know, when I work with people like Seth and Evan, who work together a lot, and they were producing this with James Franco, like, there's an energy of they know exactly what they want. They'll get that, but then they also allow a lot of flexibility to be like, oh, we need this now, or we need it. Like, and I love that ability, because I think with comedy, it could sound good or look good on the page, but then when you're there and you're seeing people actually interacting, you're like, oh, we could do better here. We could pull this out. And and that was crazy because we were recreating shot for shot the worst movie ever made, and then also doing the behind the scenes. It was like so meta on so many different levels. And then like you have James Franco, who was like very much embodying Tommy Wiseau.
He was in character.
It was wild, and it was a great like hang too, because I feel like sometimes it's like we get brought in to do something, and it's like, oh, we're the comedy guys in something bigger. This is like all comedy.
It's all comedy. Yeah, it really was. I mean, it was one of those
I'll look back on it when I'm much older and be like, that's insane that all those people were together on one movie. Because in the future, we won't be making movies. AI will be dead. It'll be over.
No, it'll be great. We'll be
remember?
making 30-second TikTok movies. It'll be great. Yeah.
Which is what we're doing literally right now. 30-second TikTok films.
That's it.
When you felt, I want to ask you something because I've liked you for a long time. I've been a fan of what you've done for a long time. And when you guys were doing Human Giant, which people, if listeners don't know, which some of the younger comedy fans might not know.
Yeah, Aziz Ansari, Rob Hubel, directed by Jason Wolner. That was our group.
That was awesome, dude.
So much
It was
fun.
incredible. When you guys were putting that together, right, and then you did it for television, were you afraid that TV was going to take away what you guys were trying to make, or no?
You know, it was kind of interesting in making that show. So we made these short films that were played in New York called Channel 102. Out in LA, it was like Channel 101. And it was like Dan Harmon started that with like Jack Black. And they would make these like funny little short like TV shows. And like if people liked it, you'd make another one. So we started making shorts for that. And we made 2, and MTV offered us a show. They were like, you want to do a show? We didn't have to pitch it. And we're like, sure, but MTV, you're never gonna let us make the show that we want to make. Right. But this guy at MTV got us. Like he just got us and was our defensive blocker in every single way. Like I remember we did this sketch called Hot Air Balloon Cops. Mm-hmm. And the premise was instead of having a police car, the cops had a hot air balloon. And I was the guy, and I had like a cheese plate, and we couldn't follow cars because the wind was pushing the balloon. And I remember sitting around the table, we were watching these sketches with the MTV execs, and this one executive who did Reverend Run's House. It's like Run's House.
I love Run's House. I thought that was a great show.
Great show.
Yeah.
Maybe not the best guy to give us sketch comedy notes, but he goes, I just don't think it makes any sense. Like, why would they be in a hot air balloon? And we're like, well, that's the
bit.
Yeah. And it's like, so that's what we encountered a lot.
Yeah.
But this guy, Tony DeSanto, who like greenlit The Hills, which was like a huge show.
Yeah.
He also greenlit like Andy Milonakis. Like he was all over the board. So he just got us and was like, just make the show you want to make. And the only time he said we couldn't make something was when we made it, we just couldn't air it. It was something called Religious Abortion Doctor. And it was Christian Shaw's getting an abortion, and I'm super religious. And I was like, Lord, bless my hand as I take this baby out of this woman's womb, and I'm blessing her, and I'm wearing a giant crucifix.
Yeah.
Like, that was the only one they were
I could see them being like, look, dude, I just don't know if we can do this. We
like
it. It's funny.
They were like, that's the only one that they ever gave us, like, real pushback on. So
that is but it's because you guys were so great together.
Yeah.
And it's in this day and age, I guess I'm being a little reflective because, I don't like when somebody goes, you couldn't make that today. I think that's such a bullshit phrase.
I do too.
You can make stuff today. It's just the angles in which we do these things are different. But I do know back in that era, it was kind of like a lot of risks were being taken on television in a really good way. But it was the fear of like, well, if we take this product that we kind of do organically,
right,
is TV going to change it so much? Because it did happen a lot. You would see... the best example, it was like Louis, when Louis made his first Louis show.
Yeah.
He talked constantly about how much he was like, that's not what I wanted to make. It turned into something that just wasn't him. And that's like the fear.
You learn a lot about how to make the show that you want to make. Because then when you first get into any situation, it's like, oh, we do it like this. Even with Human Giant, like we had great creative blockers, but we made that show in a crazy way. And then you go, oh, I want to make it differently now. I want to approach this differently. And I got very lucky in working with Adult Swim and MTV, where creatively they would let us do what we want to do. But there's so many people, it's like death by a thousand cuts. It's like, oh, change this. And you don't cast the person you want. And you don't get the thing that you want to do. And then all of a sudden you have this like kind of watered down product in the hope of success. And then at the end of the day, you have to live with it. Like your name is on it. Like no one knows like, oh, well, I wanted to do it like this. And so I do think that there's always a fear, but I think that there's a great way of, not being combative with the people that you're working with. And that's the thing I've learned more than ever, which is like, I could totally disagree with you and I can be a dick, or I can totally disagree with you and try to find a middle ground. And
right.
and for a long time, I made dick moves. I'm like, I look back on mistakes. Like I remember I once got a note on a script I was working on, and I was so psyched about the script. I felt really good. And they're like, we just feel like it needs more magic. Like it's missing magic. And I was like, what do you mean? Like like how? Give me an actionable note, and I'll change the script.
Right.
But what is what is magic?
What
like,
is magic?
What is magic? Like that's not a note. Like and then she gave me another note, and I was like, that's a note. I could take that. But you can't be a dick. It's like it's hard. It's like, and I think that like a lot of people get into trouble, and people are like, I hate that person because you make them feel stupid.
As long as it's not a constant in your career, right? Like it's okay if it happens. Everyone knows that everyone's got some shit, and we're all kind of like, look, man, I'm just trying to make this thing, and blah blah blah. And like we're in the middle of it right now, and it's great, but it's also, developmental nightmare sometimes, but you just have to like breathe your way through it. And I know this is like inside jargon for fans, but the truth really is, I think fans don't really know, or America doesn't really know that a lot of times what you see isn't what we really were trying to make. Sometimes.
No, because you go into like, it's a crazy world where you're constantly putting your material up in front of people who may not even be a fan of your stuff. Right. They're just there and they're looking at something. And it's and then all of a sudden you make a change. Like I remember back to Human Giant, a perfect example. We had these characters called the Illusionators, and it was like Chris Angel magicians. And in the first pilot, somebody rose from the dead. Like we went to a funeral, we zapped the coffin, and this person got out of the coffin, and the little kid's like, "Grandpa," and it was like very stupid, but it was like Chris Angel was in that zone of being like, and we tested it. The show got tested where they put it in front of a bunch of like young MTV viewers and go, "What do you think of the show?" And the testing came back that the magic wasn't real enough, and we were like, yeah, but it's not a magic show. It's a sketch show. It's making fun of magic shows. They're like, we just think that you shouldn't air that in the pilot episode. People don't like the magic. I'm like, it's not magic. And like, and then you have to take those notes. And all of a sudden, like you're making these cuts, or you're trying to make the magic better. It's like, and I feel like, Adult Swim. The funniest thing about Adult Swim is like when I was working there, I think Eric Andre's show tested the worst out of any show on Adult Swim.
One of the best shows they've ever produced.
100%. And Mike Lazo, who ran Adult Swim, was like, fuck it. I don't care what they think. Yeah. Like, and that's what you need is like these people who don't care. It's like Mike Lazo was like, I love Eric. I'm going to make this show. Yeah. And I think that you have a lot of people who will hide behind these things of like, no, well, this person said this, so we have to change it like this. And, and then some people just come in. I feel bad for women all the time because I feel like any pilot you see, like they always replace the woman. It's always like, it's not working.
They do.
Well, let's recast the woman. It's like,
dude, I was on a sitcom, my first sitcom. The one of the female leads got replaced after the table read.
Oh,
that's in front of network.
Oh, it's a deadly moment, and like it's not the woman. It's the fact that it's
just written poorly or something is not aligning. But you casted her because you liked her. Mm-hmm. Like the first sitcom I ever did, a girl who's still a good friend of mine today, who went on to be a very successful actress, regardless. But the phone call on the way home broke my heart because she was a bad read. Not just her, by the way. The rhythm of the whole read wasn't great. Yeah. And she was like, "Do you think?" And me and another friend of ours we were like, I think the rhythm was bad, dude. I honestly, and I genuinely believe that. I wasn't lying to her. I was saying like, it just nothing. It was kind of clunky. Yeah. But she was like, I stood out as bad, and I remember like feeling her through the phone, being like, "Fuck, am I gonna get fired?" And I was like, "Dude, that's not even a thing. That's a thing. That's not a thing." I was young. I was like, "That's not gonna fucking."
No, of course they know that she's good. They're
fine. Yeah, they say right. Yeah. Nope. Boom. They fucking axed her, and then they put someone else, and it was so dark because we all were you're kind of stunned by it, and much like the mafia in the fucking it's like that scene in Casino when Pesci like accosts those two guys, and he's like, no, they're across the street. And he's like, well, I thought he was over here. He's like, no, he's not. We're over here now. Yeah. That's what it feels like. When someone's new, they're like, no, we're over here. And like, we don't talk about it. It's like, no, we're over here now.
This is, I got fired from one of the first movies I ever did. It was an Eddie Murphy movie called Meet Dave.
Oh, I remember Meet Dave.
Meet Dave premise was like Eddie Murphy is in a Eddie Murphy spaceship. So the spaceship is in the shape of Eddie Murphy, but Eddie Murphy's
his head, right?
Yeah. So like, I got brought in. I was playing this character, Lieutenant Buttocks, right? And so when Eddie Murphy, the spaceship crashes on Earth, I go, sir, we had a gas leak. It was silent, but not deadly. Hilarious,
Great.
right? And so, and I can't mess it up. I go in and I do it, and I feel the director is like, more military. I'm like, okay, sir, we had a gas leak. It was silent, but not deadly. Again, he's like, looser. I'm like, sir, we had a gas leak. It was silent, but not deadly. And I could see him just like not happy and walk off set.
Oh, shit.
And now I'm on a platform that's like 10 feet in the air, so I can't even like move around. I'm like kind of trapped. And then the AD, the assistant director, comes over. He's like, hey, we're going to take a quick break. Why don't you go back to your trailer? And my heart's racing. I was like, what the fuck? I know I fucked up. I know. How did I fuck this up? Like, it's silent, not deadly.
One line.
I'm not even acting with anybody.
Right.
And I'm in a trailer very much like the ones that we were in, those very narrow ones where the bathroom's at the end of it. They get this knock on my door. These two guys come in. And when the two guys enter, it actually pushes me over the toilet. So now I'm like kind of standing over the toilet. And these guys are like, oh, man, this is one of the worst parts of the job. We're going to recast you.
Fuck me.
And I was like, oh, no. And you just feel like you feel like a piece of shit.
Yeah.
Like you feel like, what did I do? Because it wasn't like ultimately now as I've gotten older, I'm like, it's not me. It's like something has happened here that's not
things
working.
are at play.
Yes. And what I found out was at play was the director was like, he was like, dude, I thought you were a fat guy. From your headshot, you look like a fat guy. I need a fat guy to be the ass. And I'm like, okay, sure.
You do not look like a fat guy.
I don't think I saw my head. I looked at my headshot. I was like, I don't think I look like a fat guy from my headshot.
Like a fat guy,
but it can wreck you early on. Like,
oh
you
yeah.
have to be like, but again, you make these changes and people make these choices. And you think like a lot of times when you see something on TV or you see something in a movie, you're like, why did they make that choice? And it's because somebody had a terrible idea. Or there was like somebody, I used to run like a focus groups for movies when I was back in New York. And you get the dumbest people in there.
As like a day gig or something?
Yeah, the day gig.
Oh, that's cool.
It was, I remember I did it. I only did it for one movie. It was a Danny DeVito, Queen Latifah movie called like Living Out Loud.
You kidding me? I have it on DVD right there. I can't stop watching it.
It's nonsense. It's a banger. And I remember they kept on changing the movie. And the movie felt like one time it was like a romance movie. One time it was a straight up comedy. They kept on changing it. But it was based on like the dumbest people. Like, I didn't know... Like, well, he said he produces records, but we never see him producing records. Like, oh, you want to see that? You want to see more of that? Like, it doesn't make a difference.
Do you need that?
Yeah, it's like...
for the story, is that needed? They're like, kind of.
Yeah.
Like, all right, well, we'll fucking do it.
It's like you get like people like your parents, like watching movies with my parents is like, well, who's that? What's going on?
Oh, dude. Don't. I refuse. I refuse. That drives me nuts anymore when I go home and I'm like, okay, look. We don't talk until it's over. Then we can ask all the questions.
I saw a TikTok the other day that made me laugh. This kid had a projector, and he projected it.
Oh, I saw that.
Dude,
on his lap?
Yeah, on his lap.
That was so funny to me,
He was projecting answers to questions that his mom might have. It's like, yes, that's Brad Pitt. He was married to Angelina Jolie. He's not anymore.
So good. I saw him. It was holding it on his lap, and his face was so numb because like he knew what was coming. Oh, that was brilliant, dude.
So great.
So brilliant. One more thing I want to ask you about in the film world, then we can talk about fun life or real life or the TV world. I feel like maybe I'm totally wrong, but I feel like you found your stride comedically, business-wise. The League kind of did a thing for me, for you, where I was like, oh, this really got to showcase how funny you guys are together.
The League was one of the best.
Except for working with Jeff Schaffer, who's a real big piece of shit.
Man.
Real big piece of shit. I love Jeff so much.
Wait, how do you know Jeff?
He did Dave on FX.
Shit! Right, of course. I'm so sorry.
He did and he didn't. Like
right,
he produced it, but the problem was
you got a lot of personalities, and
well, yeah, and he was also doing Curb simultaneously.
Yeah, he was doing like multiple.
It was a
things.
nightmare. He would leave and be like, "I have to go do," and then the second season, I thought the second season will be different, and then it was like, "I have to go do."
He's always working on a million things.
Yeah.
He's one of the best. It was so fun though because I like Dave Bird, and like Dave Bird was him and Jeff are a good pair because I actually think that like like there's a humanity. Like Jeff is a joke machine, and it's
Yeah,
like I just
he
want to
is.
do jokes, and I think Dave's like I want humanity too, and it's like
Story and shape and
and so it really I think that's what I think that show you're all so good in it. It's like but that show, The League, was really fun because it was a chance for Jeff to kind of do his version of Curb without Larry, because like Larry is very much dictates Curb, but they work together as a unit. But like this allowed Jeff to kind of hit more things that he wanted to hit, especially with his whole background in fantasy football. And that was a great, like, I don't know, you just look for opportunities to get people who champion what you do, and you never knew that. I never knew that show was going to take off the way it did, and the fact that it still is like a part of the thing, you know, that people get. And that's the thing that bums me out is, you know, when we were first on, you know, so many people didn't watch the show because they're like, oh, it's football, fantasy football. I don't play fantasy football. I won't like it. And then as the show went on for like 7 years, people were like, oh, I wish I would have known. I wish I would have known. And we kind of got more and more audience. And I think like people have like found the show more and more, but we were getting, it was like one of the best things to watch a show that kind of grow and feel like, oh, we actually are getting people to like, you know, that gets more and more successful every year. It was one of those crazy.
It stays in the cultural zeitgeist. You've done so much since then, but it's just funny to see, like, I still see League stuff pop up like on an Instagram reel or a TikTok, or it's funny how some things really take that were built for the internet before the internet could really have them. It's really interesting.
Like, I think the best part about the League was they allowed us to create our characters, and we improvised. It was a very collaborative show, but at the root of it, like you have Jeff and Jackie, who were the showrunners, and they knew what they wanted, so they always guided us in the right direction. And the show was just, it pushed those limits and pushed those boundaries, and FX let you do whatever you wanted to do.
Yeah, they don't give a shit. It's great.
No,
well, I mean, they care a lot, but they just want you to make your version of Little Fantasy Town.
I always felt like there was an issue, again, sorry, this is too inside baseball, but there's always a thing about FX I thought was really good, which is like, we'll give you enough rope to hang yourself. And if you do hang yourself, they're like, well, it was their fault. And if you succeed, they're like, hey, it was we let them do it.
Put you out there. Yeah. And if you do hang yourself, we're going to air it. I just want to let you know. It's great for numbers. We have to show. We have to show the fall. We have to.
In here, we pour whiskey.
This episode of Whiskey Ginger is brought to you by Squarespace. Squarespace is the place to create and design and feature whatever work you got going on. You want to create a beautiful website? Squarespace has got you plugged in. I really do love Squarespace. I've been using them for a long time. And the reason is because I'm a stupid person and I don't know how to create my own site, and they lay out an easy template. Now, you may be more intellectual than I, and no matter what you've got going on, they can help you build and structure a beautiful site for people to come visit, whether you're selling content. If you're invoicing clients, they have all that set up. You can collect payments on there, and they can have all those business service tools in one platform with SEO tools that are integrated. So they optimize, man, be indexed with meta descriptions, auto-generated sitemap, and much, much more. So you show up much more often in people's search engines for whatever you're putting out there. Say you're a personal trainer and you want to get jacked, dude, and then you need activity scheduling because you need, some sort of calendar. They got you. They got email campaigns to blast it out to your peeps. Donations, you can raise money for a project you're working on, courses. They have all of this built in to one place. So I don't know what you're waiting for. You might as well give it a try if you're a small business or someone that is just wanting to put yourself out there to the world. You must use Squarespace. Go to squarespace.com/whiskey to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain using that code whiskey. Once again, squarespace.com. You know it's whiskey. That's the code. It's going to save you 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. Squarespace.com/whiskey.
Ginger. I like gingers.
I asked you before you came in. I saw you're a Clippers fan, and I want to say, my first experience of the Intuit Dome, I did get spoiled. I had floor seats, which was insane. I got gifted that packet, I don't know what the lounge is underneath, and
they have these like a beautiful club.
It's incredible, and the players run through the middle of the club. It's the wildest shit. You're like eating dumplings, and then you'll just see James Harden just walk by.
This is what I hate. I love the idea of that in concept because like it's so cool.
It is cool,
but imagine I guess we do it sometimes too, but it sucks for these players.
For him, sucks.
Like you got to run through like all these dudes eating dumplings, and they do it. I think in Denver too, and like in Denver, one of these spots, people say racist shit.
Oh, people say
to these
wild shit, I'm
players,
sure,
And it's like,
I'm
'cause it's like
sure.
it's too close.
Yeah.
Like sometimes it's like, and it's like you don't want to get in those. Like just let me get out to
A little
the
bit of
court.
separation.
Yeah, give
Yeah.
me because I remember when I first heard how they were going to do it. It was almost be like a glass wall. Like they're gonna like you could see them like you know you could see them on the other side. Like it look, don't touch kind of a thing. But
Right.
yeah, to be like. I don't know, man.
It's a little too close.
Yeah.
They walk right next to you. You have season tickets or no?
I do. I have season tickets. I have nice seats that are affordable and fun.
Yeah.
That no one will complain about. Like my wife is like, "Wait, what? Are you getting season tickets?" I'm like, "Yeah, but it's gonna be okay."
This is an interesting play because look, you and your wife are both very successful, very talented people. No one would be like shocked if you had very, very nice seats, but there is a play in Hollywood that's like, you don't want to show off.
My play is
You don't
this,
want to
like,
show off, but everyone knows you guys can have nice seats.
But you know, my thing is this: I want to be able to afford these seats no matter what's going on in my career.
Right,
Because it's like there's always ups and downs. And like
Yeah.
at the end of the day, it's like, yeah, you sell those tickets. Like,
Yeah, you sell them. Right, yeah.
You know, like no one wants it's like, you know, so I can justify having it. Because I think that like, man, you know, when you get I'm sure you've seen it a bunch too. Like people get big and they get famous and they fucking make dumb decisions right out of the gate, as if that money will always be there. And but it may not. Just you can be conservative. I remember I knew a friend.
This is a good fall from grace story coming. I can hear it.
Like, she got a show.
Yeah.
Upon pickup of the show, like they say, okay, we're gonna make a season of the show. She bought 2 cars.
2.
One for the weekend. One for the weekdays.
Lady,
and I
this
was
is
like,
crazy.
What do you do? One for the weekend.
Do you have one friend with a brain that's like, don't do that, Sarah? That's a terrible idea.
But that's like, you see people make these choices. You're like, uh-huh.
Yeah.
I mean, I say people buy houses like as if like you can afford that down payment at all times.
That's the craziest. The buying the house right when you get a series was always wild to me. And I knew people that did it. But I came from such... I just came from a world of like, that's not what we do type of stuff, you know?
100%.
My parents were very like, I grew up in Chicago and my parents both worked and they both worked my whole life. And so we never had like, you know, we were never struggling, but it was never like we could just do things on a whim. And it was very much like, you should stick to the script because just in case.
No, I mean, I
shit
live in
goes
fear
south.
of that. Like, it's like I have kids now too. So
Yeah.
now everything takes, like now I'm like, fuck, you know, it's
Well, they
like,
take precedence always. Right?
yeah, right. It's like, but it's like you gotta make sure that you can. Like, I want to make sure I can get their soccer jerseys when they go. You know, it's like
Right.
I don't want to be one of those parents. By the way, I have to go to all these like AAU basketball games where they charge you $20 to park and then $20 to get in to watch your kid.
But your kid can hoop though.
Yeah, I mean he's out there. He's doing
Obviously,
it.
if he's running, that's great.
My kid
How old?
is upset. He's
14?
10.
Oh, okay.
He's
right.
young. He's been doing it since like he's been just nonstop. He's committed to it. He'll wake up at like 5 a.m. and shoot baskets outside.
That's
which
awesome.
is great for him. Terrible for me because all I hear is kunk, kunk,
Yeah.
kunk. It's like just hitting the rim, hitting everything in the morning. I'm like, oh,
Why don't you go shoot at the neighbor's house down
Yeah,
the street?
go down there.
Go down the road. Shoot down there. They have a hoop.
But I think it's also just like, yeah, both my parents work. My mom's 75. And she's like, I'm retired, and then got a job that's bigger than the job that she's ever had.
Yeah, that's the symptom, right?
Yeah.
This is this and it's a generational thing too. I think like my parents' generation is all close in age, and I just think they, you know, I think for them they worked and committed to jobs usually, and my parents both worked like kind of corporate jobs for so long that when it was done, it was almost like, well, what do we do? I mean, we want to enjoy our life, but what do we do?
It's so funny to watch my dad and mom like try to find hobbies. You
It's
know,
so funny.
It's like I'm like, well, what do you like? And it's asking them what they like is like I've asked them to tell me like very detailed things about their sex life. It's like oh, well, wait, what do you mean? I mean, I like. I'm
not really comfortable answering that right now in front of you. I mean, and your children are here.
It's like it's so funny that they they don't have any.
There's no hobbies.
No hobbies.
Yeah, my parents don't really have hobbies either. I mean, my mom sees her sisters and her grammar school friends. They do like she does that kind of thing where she's like, we'll have lunch and da-da-da.
Right.
So she has more freedom to go see people. But I keep bugging both of them. I'm like, you get a thing, get a little whatever.
Do something. And my parents seem to be my dad likes to complain about the people that are coming to stay at their house. Like that seems like his hobby is entertaining people that are coming to stay that he doesn't want to stay, but yet he's got a lot of things planned for them.
Are we brothers? That's the same. We have the same dad. My dad, he's so annoyed that all of these details have to take place in order for like but he also is like, can't wait to have you guys like so excited to have people over.
Oh my God, she's gonna take you on a train. We're gonna go into the city. We're gonna go see some stuff.
But also super upset that he has to organize all the shit.
I mean, I can't believe they're coming. I mean, we just need it.
The errands. He's like, the errands that I have to run. It's like, you don't have to do anything. You really don't. Everyone else can do shit too.
No, it's so funny. My mom moved out to LA and
that's got to be great.
It is interesting, right? Because it's sort of like, I'm nervous. Like, I don't know if I would live in LA if we didn't do this. Like, right? So it's like, you have to kind of be here. And so my mom moved out here, and I'm like, that's going to be a little tough for you because it's like, you don't really have friends out here. But it's like, but you love to golf and you love the beach. So
perfect.
Life's going to be good. My mom has been here maybe 8 years. She has never gone playing golf, and she's never gone to the beach. I'm like, why are you not doing this? And she's like, I don't know. It's just it's so far. I'm like, it's like there's a golf course
every 10 feet.
Every 10 feet.
They're all over the place. It's so easy to golf here. I mean, especially if you can golf in the middle of the week because you don't have a job and you can just go play in the middle of the day.
You know what I love? I live close to a par 3 in like Glendale. And it's like, that's the best. I mean, like it's the best in the sense of, I can just kind of go over there and spend like 90 minutes and
just bounce around.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's super fun.
I mean, it's not like, and I'm just starting to like learn a little bit more, so I'm having fun with it.
Are you playing a little bit?
Yeah, because I was like, I mean, this is going to sound dumb, but I went to Top. I would shoot her, like I would just go to driving ranges. I took a couple lessons a couple times, and I was like, I really like it. But again, I was taking lessons when I had kids. So I was like, no one's going to let me out to do this. Yeah. But then I went to Top Golf, and I was like, all right, this is kind of fun. I'm like, where can I fit this in? And then I kind of broke open to this par 3, and then I go with my kids a little bit, and then it's like,
you're getting there, dude.
Yeah, I'm trying.
You're catching the bug.
Yeah,
you'll be sick soon. You'll be disgusting and sick like me. I'm sick. Like I'm obsessed. We don't have kids, so like I get the freedom. If I'm off and I'm not working, I just get to go disappear. And for all my friends that never understood why I like golf so much, and then we get older, and they're like, oh, dude, you're just hanging out outside with a couple of friends for a couple hours. I'm like, that's
the best part.
Really what it is.
It's just basically
hanging with a couple of buddies.
It's just hanging with an activity attached to it.
Yeah.
It's like, and I love that.
It's like darts at a bar. It's like, I don't give a shit about the darts. We're just doing a thing while we're having a drink to goof off.
Well, that's, I feel like, what I love about doing like live shows is like, June's like, well, you need to hang out with your friends. I'm like, that is hanging out with my friends.
100%.
It's like the show is a part.
I just
did a tour. Yeah, we just did I did half doing my podcast, and then I did half just doing improv with a bunch of too many people. We went on the road with 10 people.
What?
And it was so much fun.
That is kind of cool, though.
It's like something fun about. I think there was an energy where it wasn't that expensive to go out. We did like these big venues, but it was like, oh, it's so fun to just hang with your friends. It's like, be around, get dinner, go out, like in a different city.
The late night getting dinner after the shows and goofing and stuff, that is the most fun by far. By far.
It's the best part of
How many cities did you do?
We just did, I did in total 6 cities, and then with that group of 9 or 10, we did 3. We did
awesome.
In DC.
Ooh, awesome.
So yeah, it was really fun.
Wilbur's my favorite too. I'm playing that next
Wilbur
year.
is the best. For Boston, I also I love that vibe. I love those people. It's
very Boston.
Yeah, really Boston.
It's very Boston. Some of the shows, I'm like, you guys are a little too Boston right now.
I mean,
chill out.
Them, and I would say Philly. We just did a show at the Miller Theater out there in Philly, and Philly, we were somebody asked us. We were talking to the audience, and someone's like, "Do you do the wobble?" And it's like that song, "The Wobble," and I was like, "Oh well, how do you do the wobble?" And he's like, "I'll show you." And we started playing the wobble, and the entire audience started dancing. And my wife saw this guy. She's like, wait, what's going on up there? This guy had a fake leg. He started spinning his leg around doing a wobble. And it was, man, Philadelphia, this is the fucking best.
I love Philly, dude.
And it's like, you just don't get that. You don't get that in LA. I love LA, but you don't get that in LA shows. And even DC, I love DC too, but it's a more, we're here to see a show.
Way more we're here to see a show. Yeah. Dude, we played, Bobby and I did the Daughters of the Revolution
Okay.
where Eddie Murphy
Oh my gosh.
filmed.
Yes, I did that show. I did that venue one time.
awesome.
So amazing.
Dude,
yeah.
it's incredible. But it is very much a show. It feels like
Yeah.
a room for something more important.
Yeah, it's like that's the thing. I was like, they take their night out seriously.
Yes.
And there's something about that where you're like, okay.
Yes.
Like, I mean, what is it for you doing like these? Because I mean, you do everything. Like you do small rooms, you do big rooms, right?
Yeah.
Because it's like you have to do. I think small is always great, and then like 'cause I'm sure you're trying out stuff, but then like, what's that difference in going into like this big thing? Do you feel like are there any rules that you take with you? Like, because it's I always find like when you're in a small environment, you can almost feel the entire audience with you.
Oh, yeah.
And then when you're in this bigger thing, it's like you're
It's more you're playing for the. It's more you're like playing for the universal whole. Like you're almost like I want to make sure everyone is on this similar page. Where the small rooms are kind of great. It's almost more fun when not everyone gets it in a small room, and it's
Yeah.
like little pieces of laugh, and like this guy likes it and that chunk likes it, and then she's cracking up over it. That feels so much more playful and fun. The big rooms are so performative. It's such a show,
Right.
You know, like it's such a. I'm doing a show. I got to do a show. It's a show because you can't really connect, unfortunately. I mean, I love it, but there's no connection.
No, you're kind of forced away from it in a way.
You
know,
have
and
to.
it's, yeah, because like
it can't be intimate. There is nothing intimate about it. Even if you're, the greatest performers, they somehow transform those rooms into very intimate venues. They are able to like lock people in a little bit more, but. I always feel like when you get out there, you got to put on a fucking show. There's 8,000 people.
Well, that's the thing. It's like that, like, I don't know, this idea of it is a show and it should be a show, right? Like, like it has to be. It's like, and it's like, and it's got to be performative and it can't be small. And it's I just always trying to find those like different levels of different things. Because it's like, I love trying to do something that's a little bit more casual and free and fun. But I guess maybe that's what like podcasting is to a certain extent too. It's like it allows you to be a lot more. I mean, you're not doing it to an audience, but you're doing it like. But it allows you to be a little bit more personable because it's like just coming off of all those bigger shows. You're used to. I don't know. It's just a different. It's a
different animal for sure.
Yeah.
Well, and we played like when I do. Like I'm going to do the Met in Philly, and I'll do the Beacon in New York by myself, and like then when Bob and I play, we play. Even
By the
bigger
way, Beacon's
venues.
a great.
Beacon's unbelievable.
Love that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's so beautiful. And then when him and I play, like, Sydney we did 8,500, and Dallas we did 6,400, and those rooms are incredible. You're shocked that many people want to see you. It's awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, you do change your attitude. Your attitude changes about it immediately.
What was the switch for you? Like, when did you feel like that? Like, when you get into that vibe where you're like, oh shit, like. We're doing 85,000. Like when did you like? What was like the first moment that you kind of hit? Like,
I think the first time that I realized that like the show was growing rapidly was like at the very beginning of the tour that we did last year. We would like sell these venues out like within like a day, and I don't know. It just kind of I've never as a touring stand up solo, selling out. Is great, but doing it in a day felt like, well, that's like a glitch in the matrix. Like, how did something else changed in my mind. We're like, how did that happen so fast? That's so strange that that many people.
I just don't even know how people know about it. Like, so
how do they all know? Yeah, no,
like,
that's even more. I mean, I see, but then I see it from the outside. Like Shane Gillis, who is probably the most famous touring comedian right now. I mean, this dude is doing arena shows, and he's selling out genuinely the same day he puts it on sale. An arena of fucking people.
I mean that,
which is an absurd.
So
it's an absurd.
wild.
Where the Clippers play,
I mean, right?
He sells out within a day, and you think about it, you're like that. The Clippers don't sell out the same day. You know what I mean?
No,
Like,
of course.
it's
like,
wild.
It like that's the thing that's so. I just can't like I even can't wrap my head around it. Like I've seen a couple of arena comedy shows, and that thing is that's a weird.
That's a totally different beast. Yeah.
I saw Kevin Hart do Staples. Big. It's not giant, but it's big.
It's big.
It's big. It's like, and I've seen like, and what I thought was so good about when he did it was I feel like he had like these, everyone has these video projectors and stuff like that, of course, but he had like the visual aids on the visual projector. Like he was talking about like going to like deal with like a raccoon by his like his garbage cans and there's like a scene like filling in.
raccoons,
And I was like, oh, this is kind of, I'm like, yeah, we use those screens interestingly. And then,
Well, there's such a big room. I don't know how else you fill the space sometimes in those things. Like Louis managed to tour arenas, and it's just a man and a microphone, and he's so centered too. He's not really
Yeah.
animated. So when you see that, I'm always impressed. Like I played a couple arenas with other people. It's daunting to me. It's almost like I don't even know how to appeal half of you, let alone fucking
Yeah.
an arena of human beings.
It's almost like you can't take it in. Like, have you ever been nervous stepping out?
Oh
onto
yeah, the
stage?
first time I ever did him, I was fucking losing my mind. I was so scared because I thought if this is mediocre, like if
Right.
it's just okay, it is going to hurt so much. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
I'd rather eat shit and it be like funny that I'm bombing.
Right.
'Cause then it's kind of funny. Then you can play with it.
Right.
But if you're doing like okay, holy fuck, dude. Grab the sword and just, like give it to me now. Sacrifice on stage.
It is such an interesting, like, I mean, man, eating shit is every now and then.
It's pretty fun, man.
It is fun. Like, it's like, it is. It's like this thing of, it reminds you, like, why you do it. Like,
Yes.
it's
Yeah.
like, you're like, oh, I can't break through on this thing. And I'm not doing stand up, but it's like, every now and then, it's that shock that you're like, oh, right. I have to, like,
Yeah.
I think, like, one of those gives you a reverberation for, like, a while. I remember.
Back to the
Yeah.
drawing board.
Yeah.
Yeah. Back to the change. I want to ask you something. Your Al Madrigal,
yeah.
a buddy, has a great phrase that I quote all the time, and you've broken this rule. But he always says to me when I was a younger comic, he was like, "Are you dating other comedians?" I was like, every young comic, everyone dates each other. And he's like, all right, man, but when you get older, when you settle down, there's only one headshot per household. That was like his law, that was his rule of thumb. But you've managed genuinely to be with someone who is significantly more talented than you and cooler and
more
just
attractive, everything.
all the
You're good.
things.
Yeah, all the things.
But it's working. It's amazing.
You know what I think is so
It's
cool
hard
about
for actors and to
There's
it's
a couple.
hard.
There's a couple things that I think make it work. One, we've been together for a long time. Right?
Yeah.
We're together, and we're not in the same exact lane.
No.
Ultimately, like, I mean, at the end of the day,
You're not going out for the same roles?
well, that's like we're never going out for the same roles. But, like, there is some truth to that too. It's like there's no competition with somebody that I can't be in competition with. Like, it's like
That's true.
and also what I do and what she does. Like, June would, like, she goes on the road when we do How Did This Get Made, but she wouldn't go off and do like an improv show. She's not doing like, she's a comedian, she's an actress, she's everything, but we have enough of, like, we are different enough people. Like, we don't have to travel in the same circle. And when we work together, it's actually fun because we get to be together. And I think our schedules are so kind of crazy. You want that person to understand. Like, it's like, I don't want to be wherever the fuck I am. I don't want to be in Atlanta, 3 days before Christmas. But, like, if that's the way it's going,
That's the way it's
going. And it's like, and there's no guilt there. And I feel like that's a good thing. I almost can't see it the other way. Like, in the sense of, how do you understand my schedule? Like, oh, I'm up at 5 and I'm back at, like, I'm missing, it's like, and that's, so we've been together a long time. We talk a lot. But yeah, I think that and we also, like, support each other. There's only, like, the only person who's going to really understand, like, what we're dealing with is each other, like, on some level,
I do thank my wife often because I say, like, I know how shitty these schedules are, because she'll occasionally be like, oh, I had to find out where you were off your website. That she'll be like, if she needs a question answered about, like, what do we have a thing in June? It's like looking at my website.
Well, I think
which is shitty. That's a part of our weird world. Is that we are a subject of the thing. It's like you have to just move with it. I can't dictate it. It does. Really.
Yeah, and I think it's like, and I think that there is, like, you're also, like, I think that, like, it's out of sight, out of mind to a certain extent too. Like, when I'm off on tour and June's not there, or I'm doing something different, she's not keeping tabs on me. She's like, "No, where are you at tonight? Like, what's like?" We're not even talking about that. It's like we're talking about whatever we're talking about, life, and it's like, and it's not like, how was the show? It's like, it's not. It's
fine.
Yeah, just
it's
a work.
Show.
It's like, it's like, and I love doing it, but it's like, it's not. Yeah, it's not driving the conversation.
No, of course not. You guys, you said it before. Would you leave out?
About, I think there's always this dream of, like, oh man, I would love to be here, there, but then you have to, like, be there.
You have to be there,
right? And it's like, and then you have my friends, and my friends are the reason that I love anything. It's like, I think that there's, like,
now if they all moved with me,
that's what we did to LA. Like we all moved out from
Yeah,
New
so
York
that's
to LA.
kinda
And it
like-
was like the fucking best.
Is June from New York too?
She is, yeah.
Yeah, so it's almost like everyone came. So I don't know where we're
Right,
gonna go
yeah.
next.
So it's like when we go home for the holidays and stuff like that, like it's easy. Like we go to her family, go to my family.
Sure.
It's easy to see everybody. But yeah, it's like I remember we were in I don't know, we were like outside of like Kentucky or like Louisville or something like that. I was like, oh, this is awesome. Like look at these houses. Got all this room, and it's like, yeah, but then no one else is there. Like you have to start
us.
all over. Yeah.
Yeah,
And it's like
it's just you
yeah, I think it's
and
like
your horses. But you own
Yeah.
30 horses, don't you?
Oh, they're so hard to keep in LA.
So hard to keep 30 horses out
you know,
here.
when I
Seems
was a kid-
foolish,
when
dude.
I was a kid, we had my stepdad had horses, and we didn't keep
in
them
New York or you're
in
upstate
Long
New-
Island.
Oh, Long Island, yeah.
And we were on a residential block where horses were in our on our lawn. Like they were like we had a barn in the back and a corral, like a small corral.
Did anybody else have horses?
No one.
No, it was you guys.
No one. It
The
was
horse
just
family.
us. And I'm like, how was this even like? We must have been breaking zoning laws.
sure,
Like these
dude.
horses are going around. I was like mucking corrals, like throwing hay down, doing all this shit. But I was like, it was a wild thing just to have horses in your
Yeah,
backyard.
that's so weird.
It was so
Did he
biz-
race them? He trained them? He sold them? He bred
You know,
them?
he rode them and would hunt with them. So we were like, but I don't even know if the hunting was like a big part of it. The way that I was told that we got these horses, which is so crazy. He's like, oh yeah, they were going to put down these horses from the racetrack. So we just get them. Like I have a guy who gets us these horses. I was like, all right.
I found this horse in the dumpster behind Einstein's Bagels.
You know,
We're
I was
gonna
like,
throw this thing
all
away.
right. Like I was like, you never ask questions as a kid. You're like,
No,
And
yeah.
and I don't remember like that much riding of horses. It just seemed like as a kid, it was the worst. It's like, you have to go walk the dog, go feed the dog. I was like shoveling grain and
what a
like putting
nightmare.
salt licks in and like brushing horses. It was like
What a weird gig.
awful. It
And
was
did your mom like horses?
My mom rode horses. Yeah,
Yeah.
she rode horses. I rode horses, and I was like, I don't like this. So I
do not
stopped
like
riding
it.
horses.
Yeah. I don't understand it. I'm doing a bit about it. I have a whole thing about horses now. It's so funny. I do not understand it. I think it's strange to ride animals now. It's like either kill them and eat them or leave them alone.
It's like it's a bizarre thing of like how we take like it's like I must ride you. I am going to get.
I mount you.
It's like I get it. Like you're Native American. You're like, yeah, this is great. Like
This is how I get around.
This is it. This is my transportation.
Right.
But now it's like, what am I doing here? But people love them. People
Yeah,
love them. I know a
people
lot
really
of people
love
who
'em, dude.
really love them. And I know that like you talked about like Whitney Cummings, and she's going to be like, oh, the horse.
She wants to
therapy.
be a horse. She
Oh.
said she's going to transform into a horse.
I mean,
she's starting her transition now into horse lady.
She's growing out her
to
mane.
full horse lady.
I went this thing called like wolf. There's a wolf sanctuary in L.A., like outside L.A. a little bit, and basically what happens is a bunch of dumbasses like they like I want to have a wolf. And then that works out for about 2 years, and the
Yeah.
wolf fucking destroys their house.
No
It does-
shit. Yeah.
And then they have help me. I have a wolf. And then these people take these wolves and they put them in a sanctuary instead of killing them. And I did a midnight walk with wolves, like not midnight, a full moon walk with wolves.
Whoa.
And that was actually like a very cool experience because they're they're howling, you're walking around,
Whoa.
but they're therapy wolves, and so a lot of kids like inner city kids and cute kids come up, or people that have trauma, and they like deal with these animals and they bring them relief.
They're trained wolves.
They're like
But they're wild?
they're in a sanctuary,
Okay.
so they're being like some have been abused, some
Got
are like
it.
it's like it was a beautiful experience. But they're not riding them, but I also think
Right, they're never
like with a wolf, they'll take the most domesticated, the
Wow.
most, and you're not having them on a leash. They got their people that are
Sure.
like,
no
walking
fear
them.
though, huh?
No,
There's
yeah.
no fear at all. It's just kind of
I think they also are very specific about we're taking this wolf out. This wolf is going to be fun.
yeah.
Like
Mark
they're-
is going to be nice tonight.
yeah.
Kevin is off his fucking
there's a couple
rocker.
ones that are like don't get even close to that.
These
cage.
people that want like wild, like I watched that documentary about these people that love exotic animals, the women that own the ape one, like the
Oh God, chimp crazy.
Chimp crazy. Look, we all have weird hobbies and interests, so I guess I understand when someone falls in love with something that someone else is like if I say like I love golf and someone's like that's the fucking dumbest sport on earth, but when you're like I want to own this animal, I'm like what's the drive? It's very strange.
It's interesting. It's like the way that people like I love my dog. I have a dog, great dog.
Same.
But my dog is not like. There's levels of dog ownership, right? We've all seen like the dog ownership that's disturbing, right?
Yes,
I've seen
correct.
dogs
Yes.
being pushed around in strollers. I've seen dogs that get way too much attention. Like if you get put out, like you could put your dog on a Christmas card, that's fine, but you can't make your dog the centerpiece of your Christmas
That
card.
seems crazy.
right? It's
Yeah.
like, and there is that same thing. I think that people want like a doll. It's like, well, they can't, like, this thing can't talk back to me, so they will never let me down. They give me
Right.
love. It's
Right.
unconditional. There's issues with it. And, like, look, I love my dog. I love being around my dog. I love having animals. But owning something and trying to, like, manipulate it that way,
It's a little crazy.
I remember, man, back in the day in New York, there was a show called Eating It, and it was at Luna Lounge, and like everybody came through Luna Lounge, like Louis and Todd Barry and Janine Garofalo. Like it was like the hot spot for New York comedy in this era when New York comedy was kind of exploding. And every year they would do like a show called like a Night of 100 Comics, and it was everyone doing like very quick bits.
Yeah.
So it, and it was a great night. But everyone was trying to like, because it was like a 2-minute bit, a 2-minute slot. Just trying to do something insane, right? Because it's almost more like the spectacle is more than anything. One guy brought a fucking monkey up there.
What?
And rented a monkey, and that fucking monkey ripped off his ear.
No.
Ripped off his earlobe.
Oh my God.
And it's like, no, man, this is not, yes. And I'm not mad at that monkey. I'm like, yes, that monkey
Yeah, monkey's
should.
in the right. Yeah, the monkey's in the right.
Don't fuck with these animals. It's like, I don't get it. I don't get why people want to fuck with animals. I don't get why it's like, they are wild.
Yeah, they're wild.
They're
Wait, did it
wild.
rip it off? Not during the show.
Yes, because it grabbed on and did something.
Holy shit.
And that chimp crazy thing, too. It's like the.
And now that chimp is actually on tour.
It's
Tickets are
great.
right here.
He's sold out for a lot of spots, but look around.
Yeah, but look around.
They're
Maybe
adding
grab those
shows.
tickets, dude. He's killing it right now.
In here, we pour whiskey.
Got to tell you about ZOCDOC. Got to tell you about ZOCDOC. I use ZOCDOC, ladies and germs, because I moved to a different area, and I didn't want to go all the way back to the old neighborhood, and ZOCDOC made it so easy, man, to find a new doc for me. I need specialists. You know me. I got them health problems. So I need health specialists, and we're talking in-network appointments with more than 100,000 healthcare providers across every specialty. Mental health, dental health, eye care, skin care, much, much more. You can guide patients. You can see actual appointment openings, choose a time that works, click to instantly book a visit. I myself scored a quick appointment. You can get one within 24 to 72 hours of booking. That is pretty impressive. They say you can also get same-day appointments. I haven't had the luxury yet, but I'm telling you, it's out there, it's available. Stop putting off those doctor's appointments, okay? Cut it out. Go. You need to go. Check that lump out. That little scar you want to take care of, get it taken care of. That little bum hip, that weird nozzle on the end of your kneecap, or that protruding ankle bone like I have, go get it taken care of right now using ZOCDOC. Find a doc near you. So stop putting off the doctor's appointments. Go to ZOCDOC.com/whiskey to find and instantly book a top-rated doctor today. That's ZOCDOC, ZOCDOC.com/whiskey, ZOCDOC.com/whiskey. Hey, I want to tell you about VERSO. It's a leading and trusted company that has established itself as the go-to source for longevity products, okay? Strong focus on research, innovation, customer trust. VERSO is dedicated to providing high-quality products that target root causes of aging, yielding many health benefits. Look, we're all getting older. Look at me. Look at these crow's feet. At this point, they're bigger than crows. These are like rhino feet on the side of my stupid face. But I'm telling you, VERSO can help that very much. They got a suggested serving size of the package, 2 capsules with your first meal of the day, right? Pop it in, containing some moderate fat. You don't want to be eating short rib this in the morning for breakfast, unless you do. I don't know, your choice. As the bioavailability of resveratrol increases with fat, okay? These capsules are great. Optimize your health and combat aging with products formulated with research-backed ingredients. That's what they make. Trusted, informative entity. Knowledge is power, and we want to empower customers to make better choices out there for themselves and their loved ones, okay? The holidays are coming. You might be eating crazy stuff. You might be. And you might need to take a little bit of VERSO to help yourself get those cells moving in the right direction inside of your body. Cell being is longevity encapsulated. It boosts NAD plus in the body to optimize energy and cellular health. A lot of people have talked about NADs now. This is the new future. Research shows these ingredients improve weight loss, inflammation, sleep, energy, physical performance, immunity, brain health, heart health, and much, much more. And you need all that stuff. So I love the holidays. very, very much. I find it can be very demanding to go to all the events and dinners and all that nonsense. And every year I burn out a little bit quicker. So why not try VERSO? After taking Cell Being for some time, I feel like a younger version of myself. I've noticed a lot more benefits, a little bit more energy during the day. My sleep schedule is getting better. And, you get through those little sniffle biffles that you get sometimes from little kiddos running around. Click the link in the description or head on over to ver.so, ver.so. Use the coupon code WHISKEY at checkout to save 15% on your first order. Once again, that is ver.so. Use that coupon code WHISKEY.
Ginger. I like gingers.
But that's the thing. It's like, I remember every animal trainer I worked with was odd.
On sets.
Yeah. Like, they're
so strange, dude. I know that's mean. It makes me so uncomfortable. But I don't like, I get, I feel the same when it's like if you're working with very young people on set.
Oh, absolutely.
And they've got their teachers and their handlers and it's like they've got a crew of people and you're like, this is so uncomfortable. This kid is a little human.
Let me tell you the thing that fucks me up in my brain. Right? So on the league, we're shooting this episode. Katie's having a baby. It's like, I don't remember where that was in the show, but she's having a baby. We're all in the delivery room as she's having a baby. So we need a baby, and there are newborns, newborns that
2 days ago.
And what they do is they have to put jelly, like Smucker's jelly, all over the baby to make it look like viscera, coming out. Right. And I'm watching this parent, like they're applying jelly to
their newborn
baby and putting it under fucking hot lights and all this shit. I'm like, I was like, this upsets me.
Yeah.
I'm like, and I get it. Like, you know what? They're trying to make a living and all this stuff, but it's like, it's still like,
that's your new baby.
That's your new baby.
By the way, it's got to be their third or fourth child.
Oh,
if it's first kid, they're like, no way.
I couldn't even deal with anything. I had that first kid. I was like, it was like, I was punched by Mike Tyson, old Mike Tyson, not Jake Paul Mike Tyson.
Right.
But I was like, I didn't know what way it was up for like at least 4 months. I was completely put jelly on it. Let's
Take
go.
it. Yeah, they are quick to be like, here, hold it. And you're like, no, I don't know what to do with it, man. I'm freaking. I did a movie in Australia, and I had to have a baby, and the joke was that the baby was sucking on my tits, thinking that I'm and this woman was so nice and sweet and generous with the kid, but like I would in between, the baby where we had to use a real baby, I'd go, hey, do you want to just like give it back to the mom? And she's like, no, it's okay. And I was like, well, take it. I don't want your baby.
I don't want to like do like this responsibility.
So weird. It's like it's your kid. I don't. It's kind of strange. I feel odd because you already feel weird with someone else's human. You're like, this is someone else's child.
Oh man, there is my friend is assistant director, which means that they have to do like all this very complicated work. It's a very famous older actress, and so whatever she was holding, and they could cut, just drop it. Just drop. Like the minute cut was called, just and they were like, wait, it was so crazy, like because they had to be so careful when they called cut. Just the coffee cups, anything, cut, and I thought that was like the best move.
You're like, you could just put it down.
They said they had to have people underneath her, like with like mats to catch shit because,
dude,
the cut, baby, just drop.
Afterwards, I need to know who that was because those are those incredible moments where you can't believe you see them happen. I've had good ones and bad ones. I want to hear some more. If you've got some, you don't have to say names. I had one. There was a guy, actually, in a tragic way. I loved this actor, and he's passed away. And I, as a kid, like loved this dude. Yeah. He was so rad. And then I did an indie movie with him, and I was so excited to connect on so many levels because we're acting in this thing. I'm supposed to be best friends with his son in the movie.
Okay, yeah.
And I grew up at their house because I'm like kind of a troubled teen who, you know what I mean? Like I didn't have a home, and that's a big part of the story. And I'm so excited on his first day. It's like my 6th or whatever. To like chat him up, and we have a lot in common, blah, blah, blah. And I get up there, and I was like, hey, I just want to introduce myself, blah, 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 all this stuff. And he's ripping a cigarette, and he's like, I don't do this sort of thing, man. And I was like, oh man, no. Dude. And it like, but it immediately, snapped me back to reality because I was like, okay, I respect that. That's okay. I was like, that's okay.
I play it very differently, which is like because I've had moments where I'm like, it's not going to work out. So I just am silent. I come to
Yeah.
set like a fucking meat. Oh man, like how people are, right? Because you envision them as being like, they're going to be gregarious, they're going to
Fun.
be this.
Cool, nice.
I'll tell you a story that is a secondhand story, but from my friend who is another assistant director. He was doing these Steven Seagal movies, later year Steven Seagal
Pre-Russia move.
before, yeah. And so Seagal, like they would say they would choreograph wherever he's selling.
Dude, he was doing like 30 a year at one point. It was insane.
I remember I was in France. I saw like 3 posters from Mel Gibson movies I'd never heard of. I was
Right.
like, what was this?
Fucking
like,
wild.
Yeah, it's like just churning them
know,
out.
by the way, they go in, they shoot. They'll get him for like 6 days.
Oh yeah.
And then he'll go right to another one, and then right to another one. It's
They just
fascinating.
knock them out. Like
Yes.
6 days is a long time. Sometimes I get them for
2 days, yeah.
You know,
It's
it's like
nuts.
it's it. And if nothing goes on, it's like you got one day. It's like so they work out this whole thing where like Seagal's at this table, 2 mafia guys kind of corner him, and he takes this guy's hand and he like wraps him up and punches. He does this whole elaborate thing. And they worked it, and they get Steven in, and they're like, all right, so Steven, here's how it's gonna go. You're gonna go over here, you're gonna kick out the leg, you're gonna pull this guy, you're gonna slam him on the table. And Steven's like, yeah. What if both guys come in real close, and I just go like this, like punch one with one hand, like and they're like, that is I'll just do that. I'll just punch, just punch one, and and it's like, yeah, but there's like, we want more like action. It's like, no, I'll just punch like that, which is also like
Such a ridiculous move.
Yeah, like
Such a hard thing to actually do.
and like no like way to even get like and like that's this kind of stuff. It's like
But I bet you they shot that.
100%.
That's
He's like,
in the
and that's
movie.
it. There's no other option.
that's
So
in the
then he does that, and then 2 stunt guys go flying. It's like,
Yeah.
It's I work with Nick Cage, and I was psyched to work
How's
with
that,
Nick Cage.
dude?
He's great. The thing that was tricky about Nick Cage was I did the same thing, which was I didn't with my thing, which was like I didn't try to ingratiate myself with him. I show up. I'm gonna do hey Nick, it's Paul. Paul and Nick, great. We're gonna do this scene. We do the scene, and I really existed like we would sit closer than this. He'd be looking at his lines. I would just be there silently doing whatever I need to do. And then on the last day, we're at these 2 slot machines, or close to the last day, and out of character, he just goes, "You believe in ghosts?" I said, fuck yeah, like jackpot.
dude.
I put in like 10 days or whatever to get that, and I was like, I think so, yeah, man. Yeah, he was like, and he looked around, he got nervous, and he was like,
Who's nearby?
Yeah,
Like
he's
he's
like-
about to tell a bad joke.
he's like, I'm gonna tell you a story one time, not now. I'm gonna tell you a story, and I was like, all right,
All right,
and
man.
I never, and he never told
Never told the goddamn story.
But I know that like some shit happened with Nick Cage
Oh,
and Ghost,
100%.
and I was like, and that was all I needed. I was
Right. That's it. That's enough. That, by the way, that's his Bill Murray. How Bill like surprised people and was like, no one's gonna believe Nick. It'd be funny to know later in life if Nick Cage just goes up to people and is like, "You do believe in ghosts?" And they're like, "Yeah." And he's like, "I'll tell you a story a little bit later about it," and just never ever tells the story about the ghosts.
Now, I will say that I got obsessed with it. I was like, what could it be? Then I found out Nick Cage bought the most haunted house in America.
What?
Which is this house in New Orleans. That was the basis of an American Horror Story. Really fucked up story. Basically, like a surgeon who did like the most fucked up operations.
I know about this. I heard about this. Yes.
Right. So,
Like did scientific experiments on people. Yeah.
And it really like gut churning, like
Disgusting.
disgusting
Yeah.
stuff. Nick Cage bought that house.
Why,
And
Nick?
then moved out because he said it was too haunted.
Yeah, guess
I
what,
was like,
Nick? Chances are this
I'm like-
isn't going to be a chill spot.
I'm like, ready for that. Like if that's where he was going with that story, I'm like, wow, he saw some shit. Like,
Yeah, because I think about that. By the way, we just moved into a new house, and I think about that all the time. Of like, because my old house was built in 1940,
okay.
and that thing was 100% haunted, and I mean it wholeheartedly. Like we used to have, there was a woman who was a ghost, and my wife and I would joke about it all the time. She named her something for a short amount of time before we moved out, but I would, because half of my house was original And then the people that bought it in the 60s, they added on a separate chunk.
Yeah.
And the separate chunk was always extremely like warm and like peaceful. And everyone that stayed over there was like, it's so nice over there on that side. But the old side, it's weird. It did have a little bit of a, I don't even know how to explain it. It had a more, like an old house in a country feeling where you're like out in the country, you know, like in a cabin somewhere.
Yeah.
It had a very like, quiet but very docile, like perhaps something is just like slowly underneath it, you know? And we would see, all the time I'd be walking through the living room and I would just kind of get one of those out of my eye, I'd be like, oh fuck, and I would see the thing pass through. My hand to God. But the house that we have now, the place we moved, it's funny because we joke about it. We're like, man, there's no creepy noises because we bought it from the guy who built it. Like he built it and raised his children in it.
Okay, yeah.
So it was only one family and no one died. There's, you know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
No death. There's no jazz to my new house.
No, and you know, it's like it's a crazy thing when you feel like there is something up. My friend told me this story. He lives in New Mexico.
Yeah.
And
the whole city of Albuquerque is haunted, by the way. Just letting you know. It's all haunted.
It seems so crazy. He said so he had a friend over, his family house. Like, so, and this is like, look, I know all ghost stories are like, oh, maybe that's whatever. He had a friend over, this first time over their house, and they're all watching a movie, and she's like, I'm going to go back to my room and get my glasses. And she never came back. And the next morning, they're like, she comes down, and they're like, what happened? She's like, I something really fucked up happened. And he was like, well, what? He's like, I was walking back out to my room, and I saw this Native American man on a horse, like, staring at me. And she's like, and I just ran, I slammed the door, and I just hid in that room.
Whoa.
And they're like, wait, what? And she's like, it was so crazy. And then the father's like, hold on. Goes to the garage and gets this painting that was like in the house of this like Native American man on a horse. And he goes, did it look like this? And she was like, yes. And she never had seen that boat. And then they put it up in the house, and then they never saw it again. Like it was like,
oh,
they
he just wanted to be represented in the home. That's it. The ghost was like, put the painting back, or I'm gonna fucking terrorize you guys.
I was like, I'm all for a good ghost story.
I believe in them, dude. I think it's fun.
I think it's cool. I think that like we all are energy. Shit's existing.
Yeah, it's
Things
happening.
are around. Yeah,
it's whether or not you want to see it. And by the way, even if someone's like, that's all bullshit, it's like, yeah, but bullshit's fun too.
I love bullshit. And like Sun's working on like, when we shot in New Orleans, Tom Lennon, I could tell the story about Tom. I think he's had a little son, cute little kid, probably like 8 years old at this point.
Sure.
And so it was really crazy because he would run in. They were running in this apartment. And he would see, he's like, "Hi, Dad." Go in the next room. "Hi, Mom." Run in the next room. "Hi, Henry." Come back. "Hi, Dad." "Hi, Mom." Like, "Henry, what's going on?" He's like, "Oh yeah, Henry's in there. He's having trouble tying his shoes." No Henry, no anything. He's like, "He's right there." And like, oh God. And this is a kid who never did this before.
Oh my God.
And he was seeing ghosts all around New Orleans. And like one time they caught him out by a sewer grate, and he's, "Yeah, no, you can come out. Yeah, you can come out." And he's like, "Who are you talking to?" He's like, "Oh, there's little kids in the sewer."
Oh my God, dude.
Oh man. Like,
so they left their son in New Orleans, I guess.
They left him there,
so
and he was like, now he's got a
now.
lot of friends, a lot of ghostly friends. But they said the minute like they left, it was like it wasn't even like he wasn't even like, "Oh, I'm feeling weird," or it's
Right.
like, "Oh yeah, no, but there's a kid right there."
Whoa. There's no psychosis to it. That was just a moment in time, and then it's gone.
And they always say that kids can see ghosts because Kid Cudi says that. It's like,
Yes, he does.
But like, because it's like they're not like
Tainted, ruined.
Yeah, but yeah, they're just like, "Oh yeah, I see this thing and that's it. I'm not questioning it. I'm not talking myself out of it."
Yeah, they're taking things from an innocent perspective, and we're all taking them from a jaded, a slighted.
Been there,
yeah,
seeing it, like, what the fuck? All right.
Yeah, it is kind of interesting how as you grow, the way you look at things. I mean, the proof of that would be as I've gotten older, the way I look at things or I see and experience things, it does feel weird to look at them when you get older and go, "Oh, it's weird that I thought that used to be like this," you know?
Well, like I think of it like even like, yeah, like there's an idea like we've seen, you get used to seeing stuff and you are prepared. Like I'm always waiting for the other shoe to drop, right? So I'm always like waiting for something. But then you start to carry yourself with an energy that's like, fuck it. Like I remember like when I was living in New York, I love New York. It was great there. I don't have an issue with them, but I'm gonna weave in and out of you. I have to get to where I'm going. I'm not here to.
You
like,
are in
work
the middle of
building.
it though at 50th and A. That's
Oh.
like in the guts, dude.
Oh, I
You're
mean,
in-
I was walking by theaters and everything, and I remember one day I was like just barreling through, and you get in the zone. You're like, I'm weaving.
Yeah, it's almost like a video game.
Yeah, and,
Yeah.
and it was like having so much fun, and I'm like, why is it so fucking crowded? I'm push, and then it like opens up, and as it opens up, I literally collided with Nicole Kidman coming out of a limo for his premiere at the Ziegfeld Theater. I was like, and we got like almost like this close. I was like, ah, and then I was like, ah, god damn it, and I just like walked like
Fucking Nicole Kidman.
like, get out of my way! I'm trying to get in my house. You're
always in my way.
But it was like my energy of being like a New Yorker going through the street didn't even allow, like as I got like 15 feet away, I was like, holy shit.
It's in the middle of a movie premiere. Yeah, dude.
I just like barreled through.
That's how jaded we become.
Yeah.
We have to stay, keep the whimsy.
I
Keep
know,
the whimsy
yeah, it's
somehow.
I guess.
Okay, do this. I appreciate you coming on the show. This has been incredible. I want you to plug whatever you want to plug. You
Sure.
made it weird or whatever you want to plug to let the fans continue to
Yeah.
follow your greatness.
I have a book, a New York Times bestseller, by the way. Which,
Baby.
I got to say it. It's called Joyful Recollections of Trauma, which is out wherever you get books, or there's an audiobook component of it. Yeah, and that's that. And then, I got podcasts, How Did This Get Made and Unspooled. You can listen to those.
Amazing.
But yeah, it's all good.
Wait, say the name of the book again.
Joyful Recollections of Trauma.
Wow, that's great.
And it's a funny book. I know it has trauma in the title, but it's just kind of funny stories from growing up. And then also there's some serious stuff in there too. But
Right. There's
all
some
mixed.
real shit in the depth of it.
Yeah.
Can I? And I'm going to ask you one personal question about it. Did you write it, or did you have a writer?
This is so crazy. People ask me this all the time. I didn't know that was an option.
That's a big thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of people that get book deals, like if they're famous, people get book deals, and then the famous person's like, I don't have time. They're like, no, we'll have someone else write it for you.
And so I dug into that more and more as like I got, because people
Yeah.
would say it to me all the time, like on the publishing side, they're like, would you write it? I'm like, yeah. Like there was like, to me, there was no reason to do it unless I was going to write
Sure,
it.
that's
right?
what I always thought. I learned about that
Yeah.
later, that I was like, oh,
No.
you don't have to write it.
And I think it's sort of like, because it's like there's a stolen valor to it. Or it's
100%.
like, it's like, because I was talking to my people who recorded my book, and they're like, oh, it's crazy. Like people will be reading their book. I'm like, that didn't happen. Oh, I'm not going to say that. And it's like, because they didn't write
it's
it.
like it's yours.
Yeah, it's like somebody just like kind of just put it in a way, and it's like, and then I go back and I think about all these, like, I love biographies and like memoirs and
yeah.
stuff, and it's like I'm like, huh, how many of these are not written about something that's incredibly specific? I was like, you didn't write it?
That's
And
so dark. That's
I was
so
like,
weird.
This is,
and now that lives.
and that lives and
Yeah.
on some level. It's like it's just. Yeah, and then you go around and you're like, oh yeah, I wrote a book. It's like, I don't get it. I just don't, because by the
Yeah,
way,
it's strange.
money and books, it's not really there. It's not like, it's not like
Well, your helicopter is waiting outside.
yeah,
I will
yeah,
say
yeah.
that. No, the only way I do think it works is if someone writes the book for you or about you, like Warren Zevon, who I'm a big fan of.
Yeah, oh, I love
his wife, his widow, wrote his biography.
that's
And that's
great.
kind of that's the only version where I go, this is kind of cool.
I think Paul Reiser might have written the biography of, oh my gosh, a big like yacht rock guy, Michael McDonald.
Mike McDonald, I was just
Yeah.
there is the one.
Yeah, and
You write my book for me.
but I think that's interesting. Like, and I also feel like there are people that are great talkers.
Yes.
Like, like that you may just do a shitload of interviews and then you transcribe it and you get the gist. Like, that's fine. But like, it's, if you're not on either side of that, like then
Yeah, it's got to be personal to you in some way.
on some level.
Yeah, on some
right?
level, you have to have some kind of. You have to, it has to be you on some level. Otherwise,
That's
it's a little strange.
I remember like hearing like, it's, I won't name the name because it probably would be darker, but there are people who like do Broadway just to get that credit, but then they're like, oh, I have to do this every night? Like, yeah.
Dude, this
That's
isn't a
the
one-off.
thing, man. It's like,
I thought this was a one-time show.
Yeah, it's like,
no, dude, we do one show
No, and
tonight,
it's
every night.
it's like, but people want that feather in their cap and they don't understand like what it takes to actually.
Oh, dude, that's why. Yeah, so I got approached about this sports book thing.
Yeah.
and I was like, oh no, I don't want to do that. I don't have that.
Yeah.
I just don't. I would love to, but I'm not going to lie to myself and pretend like I can do it right now. I'm like, I can't. I don't want to commit to that.
The thing that I did that was, I think, smart with my book was I wanted to write a book, and I started writing a book, and I wrote about 100 pages before I even tried to sell the book.
That's smart.
Because then I was like, I'm not going to have that much pressure now. Because I'm like, I know what it's going to be.
Right.
And it's like, it's halfway, or at least is in process.
Right.
I talked to so many people who like sell books, you know, and then like, yeah, we'll figure it out. It's like, I don't want to figure it out on a timeline.
No,
like,
I want it to be figured out.
Yeah, I've got to understand what I'm giving you.
Right. And the truth really is your wife wrote your book anyway.
Yes,
but,
100%.
Go buy it. Go check out the podcasts, I should say.
Please.
Plural. I appreciate you. We end the show the same way. You look in that camera and
Yes.
you're single and you say one word or one phrase to end the episode. It's kind of our nice little bow on the end. Some people do one powerful word. Some people have a nice words of wisdom of a phrase.
Ooh, okay.
And remember, as you think about it, this will live on forever. We're going to submit this to the Smithsonian at some point.
Got it, okay.
This will be embedded in the history of podcasting.
It was silent, but not deadly.
In here,
You're fired.
we pour whisk, 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 whisk.
You were that creature in the ginger beard.
Sturdy and ginger.
Like vampires, the ginger gene is a curse.
Gingers are beautiful.